Welcome, everybody. I see some folks trickling on in here, so that's wonderful. If you want to type in the chat where you're coming from, I see one name I recognize from Virginia. Marianne, who's with me, is also from Virginia. Taylor's going to be manning the chat. My name is Art, your host. Marianne, I'll introduce when she takes the microphone over a little bit past halfway of this webinar. It will be about an hour, and then Taylor, like I said, is going to man the chat. The title for this webinar here is Planning Careers and Dreams for Students with Disabilities. And I'm really excited for this one because I will share about our tools and resources, absolutely. But I'm also going to go into the implementation side of things too. And that's where Marianne's going to discuss her experiences in implementing and using more from like the practitioner standpoint of things. But one note, and as people are trickling on in here, absolutely, I'm filling time so you can get technology situated. But I also want to share, I was at the DCDT conference, which is a transition conference for special education in particular, last week. And one of the common things that we heard from educators as we went there and I presented and I met people and networked was just how stressful, how short-staffed, how everything's been, especially the last few years with everything going on. And so I was talking to Marianne about this webinar today, and I said, the big thing I want to take away is, yes, we'll have goals. Yes, I'll share, the resources and such. But the big takeaway is I want you all to understand how our tool is a tool in the toolbox to help your job, help you ease that stress, use something to alleviate extra work, things that need to happen already, but let's just make it easier, work smarter, not harder. And that's the end goal, is I want you to understand how our tool can do that. So what I'll do is I'll go through and share that with you. And I see some folks from all over. We got California. I know, Renee, you meant California. Oklahoma, looks like California as well. A lot of Californians, awesome. Indiana, North Carolina. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to go dark on my web camera because sometimes internet gets funky if I share my screen and I have the camera on. So I'm going to go dark here, and then I'm going to share my screen, and we will get going in about 10 seconds. So bear with me here, and thank you all for coming. And of course, when I went to share it, it didn't let me, so bear with me. I always joke, insert some Jeopardy music here. All right. Perfect. So let's go live. Let's go. Beautiful. Taylor, I'm going to share it. Let me know. Give me the thumbs up. A couple of housekeeping items. This will be awesome. And he says you guys can share, which is wonderful. This webinar will be recorded, so you guys can either watch it again, share it with a colleague, or if you're watching this recording, clearly you know that it is being recorded. In that email with the recording, you'll get this slide deck, so you can share this, as well as some additional resources on some of the things I'll be talking about, like the career portfolio and whatnot. So, but again, thanks so much for coming. Planning careers and dreams for students with disabilities. So the workshop goals, how technology can be used to help you plan your students' post-secondary goals. See samples of Conover Online. I'll share a little bit of that because some of you are new and may not be all familiar with some of the resources. If you're using one piece like Mecca, for example, you want to see what functional skills look like and some of those videos and those video modeling resources we have. I'll be sharing some of that from the student perspective. I'm going to review what in what an individualized, career portfolio looks like for each student. And then we'll wrap that up with Q&A. And then right before Q&A, like I said, I'm going to pass it along to Marianne so she can share, and I'll introduce her then fully, so you can kind of hear her background and what she's been doing with us as well. Okay. So the question, again, and part of this presentation I took from the presentation I did last week when it was focused on transition planning for individuals with disabilities. And the question that's always asked and should be asked annually, semi-annually, every day, right, is what is the best way to plan for the future, right? How do we best help our students with and without disabilities with their future when everyone's stressed and it seems like a very difficult task? Okay, and so like most things, even a road trip, you have to follow a plan, a process. And if you're taking that road trip from, say, Chicago to Miami, or you're in Europe and you're not sure where to go, you got a plan, right? Especially if you don't speak the language, etc. So think about the process of taking a road trip. You don't just jump in the car. You got to plan for stops. You got to plan for food. You got to plan for rest. You got to plan for gas. Do you have enough money, right? You can't drive if you don't have fuel for both the car and your body. And so creating the same road trip, this same plan, this same process for the students you work with or the individuals you work with, move into post-secondary life, move into success or what success looks like, following that process can alleviate that stress. And like I mentioned, that's really the big overall picture that I want you to take away from the webinar today. So, and part of that process is career planning. Like, what are you going to do? What is the process by which I can prepare someone for either post-secondary life in a higher education setting, or jump right into a career, right? Or some sort of certification that they can get into a career. So the process is, and I'll break these four down, but the process is you got to ask it. You got it. Number 2, explore it. Number 3, assess it. And number 4, plan it. Ask it, explore it, assess it, and plan it. And I share this process because you don't necessarily have to use our tools for this process. You know, as I go through these things, you don't have to use them, but the idea is to take that away to say, okay, this is the process by which we can be successful. So where are we weak? Where are we strong? And so this 4-part process simplifies the career planning process. So let's dive right into it. So ask it. You want to be able to identify your student's interests. Someone is more likely to be involved and go more in depth into a subject if it's something they're interested in. Okay. So using an interest test to identify likes and dislikes of everyday activities. You want to make sure that it's something that can be electronic and results of the interest test are automatically scored. Again, we talk about, I just, again, last week, it's fresh in my mind. So I share some of the conversations I've had. And we had some people saying that they were still using a paper and pencil interest inventory or a free thing. And although we think on the surface that's great, and cost-wise it is in the sense of like, oh, it's free, or it's paper pencil, it's free, right? But what about time? You know, you got to read it to a non-reader. You have to score it, especially if it's paper and pencil. You know, you got to score it, take that time. So we want to make sure that we can implement something that's not only quick and efficient, but again, it's time saving. And so the interest indicator, if for those of you that aren't familiar with it, the interest indicator is interests of everyday activities, likes and dislikes of everyday activities. So we're going to ask a lot, a little, not at all. Do you like these things? Right? I like to think of new ways to say or do something. Or we ask these general likes and dislikes, full audio, reading it to the non-reader. And then once they're done, everything's scored, automatic, real time. So if here I am at 12:10 Central and I finish this interest inventory, it's going to show with the 16 career clusters what exactly I'm interested in. And then it's going to recommend career areas based off of the interest test. All right. And that's what's so really powerful about the interest indicator is it streamlines everything seamlessly. Okay. Next up, explore it. Well, so after they take the interest indicator, they're interested in cosmetology. They're interested in small engines. They're interested in firefighting. They're interested in HVAC, right? Fill in the blank. We want to explore it because it may be that their expectations or understanding of a career is something based off their mom or dad or their uncle or someone like Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs. He's really cool, right? So I really want to do that. But all of a sudden, I don't like being dirty. Well, I probably am not going to do anything that Mike Rowe's ever done, right? So we never make sweeping assumptions. We want to make sure to explore. You only know what you know. And so let's explore, right? You may find something that a student really, really enjoys that they previously didn't even know existed. Okay. And so our work samples, and I know this is real pixelated, but our work samples are these black boxes, and they're hands-on simulations. And I believe I saw Ellen in this webinar. She's in Virginia as well. She actually did the webinar 2 months or a month ago. She talked about these work samples. And what they are, again, is videos in our software that walk the users through step-by-step doing an entry, a mid, and advanced level job task. Okay, and so we have food service. We have 22. Taylor, if you want to put the brochure in the chat, but we have 22 different career areas ranging from food service, custodial housekeeping, all the way up to telecommunications and trying to think, manufacturing and HVAC and horticulture. And so what we did was we made this video since it's about a month, maybe 3 weeks old, but we made this video on our work samples. And I want to share it with you. It is not me live. Okay, it's me in the video, but it's not me live right now. We made this video, but it's about 5 minutes, but it does a great job. I won't show the whole thing, but it does a great job of kind of explaining the ins and outs of so you can see it. You know, especially me, I'm such a visual learner. This does a great job of explaining what exactly the work sample is and how it's used. So I'm going to go ahead and share that right now here. Hey there. In this video, I'm going to go over our small engines work sample because we've been asked a lot, how exactly do I implement or how do I use your work samples? And this work sample is one of 22 that we have. Each one comes with this black box with all of the hardware, all of the manipulatives fitting right inside, ready to go turnkey. And then using our online tools, our online system, it's going to walk the user through step by step, doing an entry, a mid, and advanced level job activity. So individuals can get their hands dirty. They can try this job out, these job tasks, and see if this is something that they truly want to do. Is this something they want to pursue further? So you can use this to propel them into their career planning. Now, one of the things we've heard with our work samples is, I'm not an expert in small engines or food service or telecommunications. And so I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm kind of nervous. I'm kind of feeling inadequate. And that's where we come in. We have 40 years of research and experience sharing it with you so you can use our manipulatives and hardware within the work samples without having any experience, yourself or your participants. So I'm going to take a little sample and share with you the entry-level career area job task for small engines, which is servicing the air cleaner, so you can see exactly how that looks and works. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the first video here and show you exactly what a user would see from their lens, and then what they'll do is watch the video and then follow suit right here in the small engine.
Let's begin. Remove the wire from the spark plug. Then turn the engine so the side with the air cleaner is facing you. Get a paper towel and put it next to the engine under the air cleaner.
Okay, so the first thing it told me to do was remove the wire from the spark plug. And then I'm going to take the wire off the spark plug. Next, it tells me move the engine so the air cleaner is facing me. Okay, so you get the idea, right? There's videos in our program that walk the user through what exactly to do. This one's the small engine work sample.
Next, you will take off the air cleaner cover.
And so we can give them,
to do this, pull the tab on the top side up. Then hinge the cover.
And I kind of joke that I should have worn a different shirt. We actually shot that like just off off the cuff, and all of a sudden my same shirt, same color as the wall. You know, the guy shooting the video is like, "Hey, we should change," and I'm like, let's just go. So anyway, there's that little tidbit of behind the scenes. But those are our work samples. And what's really slick about them are you guys that are sitting here that have access to Conover Online already. You have access to those videos. You know, so for example, in food service, you're like, hey, I got Nutella, I've got coconut shells, right, or shavings, or I can get that. Great, you have access to the videos already of all of the work samples within your Conover Online ecosystem. Again, if you have access to Conover Online already. Okay, so those are the explore it. Step 3 is assess it. Assess it. So you don't get this look, right? You want to assess it. Like I used to give this look, like, when am I going to use this? Like, what's the point, right? And so if you assess it, you're doing two things. One is you're assessing the job specific competencies related to that job. So for example, you're assessing math in small engines. You're assessing reading in cosmetology. You're assessing liquid and dry measurements in food service. And so you're getting the data necessary to help this user plan for their future. So that's one thing, which is important, right? Because you know what they're good and not so good at, academic wise. But then the second thing you're doing is you're helping connect the dots for the user. Because that look I mentioned, right? Like, what, this is pointless. What am I going to use this? Why are you teaching me this? If they're able to see that, hey, if I want to be an auto mechanic, I need to know math. Or if I'm going to be in, food service, like I need to know some liquid and dry measurements. Like what's 2/3 cups times 2, because I'm making double batch of pizza crust or something, right? So you're helping them connect the dots by correlating it back to their interests. So step 3 is super critical as far as assessing. Obviously, you know that being assessments, but it's helpful when the assessment is tied back to that post-secondary goal or tied back to the academic skills related to that interest area. Okay, because it's twofold. And again, that's where that same theme of helping make your job easier. Part of the stress of job is not so much, well, it is the data and capturing that information for each user, but it's also dealing with the students and behavior and interest and right, all that stuff. So if we can help alleviate some of that by connecting the dots, we're able to then again help them. So, and thus helping you. And then step 4 finally is plan it. Now this one's kind of unique. There's multiple plan it steps, because not only the plan it in the sense of career planning, right? Because we want to be able to provide occupational information. We want to explain the ins and outs of the career, the what you do, physical demands, working conditions, skills needed, all that type of information. But you're going to also help plan in the sense of soft skills, in the sense of life skills. Okay, because this saying holds true. You know, you choose a job that you love. For all of us, you choose a job you love, and you will never have to work a day in your life. And so part of the choosing of the job is obviously interest, is obviously, you know, exploring to make sure that it's appropriate, to make sure that they like doing that type of work. But it's also the life skills, those soft skills, the social and emotional skills. That's part of the planning process. You know, dealing with people, dealing with that constructive criticism, because we're all not perfect. So, you know, that's why managers are there. That's why, you know, colleagues are there. That's why coworkers are there to help understand that and say, hey, we got to pick it up. So choose a job you love, and you'll never have to work a day in your life. So soft skills is part of that. Okay, it's part of that career planning process. And then life skills. Life skills, things like, especially for students with more significant disabilities, in the sense of hygiene, grooming, certain core vocabulary, certain other math skills like budgeting and personal finance, and breaking these things down. So I want to share one more video with you as far as the functional skills system is concerned, which is our life skills series here. And I'm going to go ahead and play this, and it's going to break down the 3 different series. Okay, so the first series is Signs and Words series. And I'm going to show you an example here. This is through the student lens. The Signs and Words series is broken down as such that it's going to show a sign or word, like you'll see here, automatic door, and then it's going to play a video of that sign or word in action.
Automatic door. This sign says automatic door. When you approach a door that has this sign, the door will open and close by itself.
And so automatic door, right, it's going to show that. And then there's going to be audio and visual discrimination. So we're going to show the automatic door video, and then we're going to ask them with audio, when you hear the correct sign, click the mouse. So the Signs and Words series is not only about survival signs. It could be nouns, verbs, core vocabulary. Okay, and Taylor's telling me that video and audio are overlapping, so I'll try to pause it longer so I can speak. So I apologize for that. So I'll pause it and then I'll talk a little bit about it. So the Signs and Words series is our most basic in that sense. So identification of coins and dollars and things of that nature. And then I'll jump in now to our how-to series, which is going to be all about task analysis. So we're going to play a video, an overall video, and then we're going to do step by step. What are the steps in order to show that whole video? So in this example, it's going to be how to greet others and start conversations and give help.
Greet others. Start conversations. Give help. These are all.
All right, and that seemed to stop. So let me try this again here.
It has this.
Greet others. Start conversations. Give help. These are all skills used when talking with people. When talking with people, make eye contact. Stand the correct distance apart. Greet others. Ask questions. Make comments. Make eye contact. Making eye contact shows that you are interested in the person you are talking to. To make eye contact, look at the person's face and into his or her eyes. Continue to look into his or her eyes.
Should you make eye contact with the person you're talking to?
All right, and like I said, Taylor's giving me some feedback, so I don't know if you guys got to see all of that or some of that, but again, that we're breaking down the task analysis. So initiate social skills, putting on deodorant, how to get a haircut, how to trim your fingernails, how to cross the street safely, with a don't walk versus a walk. So all of these types of videos, thousands of them, literally thousands of them, are going to be broken down as such. And then our last series is called our Learning Activity series. And it kind of takes things to a next level in the sense that we're trying to apply this knowledge. So we're going to have things like awareness of self, awareness of others, workplace type soft skills. And so I'm going to share, and again, I hope this works. Apologize if not. I'm going to share another video from the student lens of what the Learning Activity series looks like. I suppose I can't pause it.
Automatic.
I'm sorry. There's so much that happens in it.
No, I haven't.
Well, here's what happens. There's this... Shit, hey, keep it down. I'm trying to read over here. I can't focus when you're talking so loud. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that I was talking so loud.
All right, let's go back to where Paul was talking to Katie. At this moment, did Paul have a good understanding of how loud he was being?
All right. So that's the final one because, like I said, we're having some hiccups. But first time trying to inject video into these things. So I was trying to spice it up. So I apologize if it didn't come through. But I wanted to just share that so you can kind of see the different levels, different layers within the functional skills system. And again, that's part of the planning process is preparing individuals for life in that setting when it comes with life skills and workplace soft skills and so on and so forth. So, okay. And then working smarter, not harder, right? Using and leveraging our tools, again, is just one way to help you with the things that need to be done. But we want to be able to make sure that we don't have to spend as much time with the quote unquote administrative stuff, right? Like the stuff like reading it to non-readers and keeping track of like dates and times on things. And, you know, all of those sorts of data tracking, that's stuff that should be automated. And a lot of you are already doing it, which is wonderful to see. But some aren't. And so the idea again is if we're able to use Conover Online, we're able to track all that stuff automatically. So when a student logs in, time on task, when he logged out, when he took the interest inventory, how long it took to do the interest inventory, what is he even interested in? Like all of that could be built inside of a career portfolio because we want to, again, use technology that already exists, not stuff from the 80s. Okay, we want to leverage smartphones. I talked to somebody who said like, hey, we never had Chromebooks. It was like a traditional computer lab still. You know, here we are, 2022 or 2021. But now, today, we have Chromebooks for all my kids. She works in a special education department. And she's like, now I can use Chromebooks for all of them. We're super excited. And so it's great to leverage that technology, take advantage of that to make sure students can have an opportunity to do that. Okay, so I'm going to jump into Conover Online and show how it helps with that career planning, workplace readiness, independent living skills, and kind of give you a lay of the land. And then in about 5 or so minutes, I'm going to pass this along to Marianne, and she can discuss a little bit about what she's been up to. So bear with me. So here we go. So Conover Online, for those of you that are in here already and part of Conover Online, you have seen this screen many, many times. And yes, Taylor, thanks so much for helping the chat and refreshing browsers if you guys have issues. So I apologize for that. Maybe the first and the last time we inject video. But Conover Online is the tool, this is the login screen that you would use and your students would use. So they log into the system the same way you do, same login, just like we all go to LinkedIn.com or Facebook.com or Chase.com if you have bank. And you log in with your credentials. Okay, and when you log in, you're going to then see the roster of students that you have inside of your school, organization, class, etc. You're going to see your list. And what's going to happen is you can go into any one of your users and then make assignments in the program. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and go through, for example, workplace readiness or that interest inventory in Mecca. And you can manage those assignments accordingly. Now, one of the new things that we've done is we still have the credits inside of your system. And so the way that the credits work for those, because we had some questions last week on this, but the way credits work are you purchase credits to go into your organization's account. Okay, and so credits are there literally forever. They do not expire. So it's a huge benefit for whether it's staffing issues, financial situations, budgets are cut, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These credits will roll over to subsequent years until they're used. Okay. And then what happens is you sitting here today, use these credits to assign any of the programs within Conover Online. So you can either assign manually, which is a pay as you go, or the subscriptions for each program. Now, 99% of the time, we recommend subscriptions. As you can tell from the percentage, very often we don't recommend the manual. And the reason is you get more bang for your buck for the subscriptions. What the subscriptions do or they allow access to the entire program in question. So in this case, MECA. They allow access to the entire program for a whole calendar year from the date of assignment. So if I assign this today to Alex, he would have access to this until May 24th, 2023. Unlimited. He can go through the interest test 365 times or more, but I'm just saying once a day. He can go through any career area multiple times, unlimited for the entire year. Okay, so which is, as you can tell, why we recommend the subscription. If you assign manually, it's linear in that when you assign something, it's only a credit. So like, for example, the interest indicator is 1 credit, and he gets access to the interest indicator until he's done. Okay, so the difference being he cannot, if you assign manually, he cannot go through the interest indicator again without you having to spend another credit. Okay, so it is less expensive in the sense that, hey, if for example, you only want to do the interest indicator in September of every year, and that's the only thing you're going to do, well, then it might make sense for you to assign manually. Okay. If you want to assign some things, including the interest indicator, and then some careers, and then some work samples, the bundle makes a little bit more sense in that regard. Okay. But again, no matter what program you're looking at for your users, the same principle applies. There's going to be a subscription option. If he wasn't assigned this, there'd be a subscription option, and then there would be a manual option. And so all the programs have the manual or subscription. So when you assign something to a user, that user is only going to go through what they've assigned, or what you've assigned, excuse me. Okay. And so if I assign personal responsibility, Alex is going to go through personal responsibility. If I assign the functional skills system, Alex is going to go through the functional skills system. Right? So you all sitting here today have the access and ability to manage everything and assign anything. And then when the user logs in, they only go through what was assigned to them to work on. Okay. So there are plenty in the interface here. There are plenty of resources available of like the actual nitty gritty. If you click this question mark right here, this actually is going to open up our knowledge base. Taylor actually is kind of manning the redoing of the whole interface, the whole everything to make it even easier. But right now, the way that it works is it's all broken down by account management, by basically criteria. So account management or assignment management. So you can see all the different articles. Like, for example, I have 30 kids that I want to assign MECA to. Then you would say, hey, what is mass assignment? And it's going to explain exactly how to mass assign MECA to those 30 kids. So this knowledge base is really, really beneficial for you to be able to see. Like I said, it has everything broken down. If you want to search for any solution or answer to a question, you can search up top here. You know, like for example, what are groups? Search groups, and then it's going to show you the criteria or the topics of things that have to do with groups. Okay. And one final thing before I pass this to Marianne is, again, along that theme of making your job easier. Everything that a user does inside of our system is saved inside the reports section. So everything is broken down by report. So you can see the individual programs if you want to run reports by program, or you can run what we call the career portfolio. And what the career portfolio is it is the culmination. It's a comprehensive portfolio, hence the name, of what a user has done in its entirety. So, for example, if Maria Benson here, I want to view her portfolio, it's going to show everything she's done over the last, 2015, over the last 7 years. So although this is a fake student that I have in my system here, the idea is that all of this information is going to be, again, comprehensive, built upon, and the data is real. Okay, so like this is the type of stuff that's going to show. So her interest indicator, her recommended career areas. She did the work sample. So it took her under 7 minutes, under 6 minutes and 59 seconds. Her quality rating, I'm her teacher, she made 2 errors. And so that is in category 2 for quality rating. And so here's her list of errors that she made. Here are some worker characteristics, which are subjective, but I'm able to put in here where I think she's at. The highest 10% is level 1. The lowest 10% is level 5. Where is she at with manual dexterity, numerical ability, motor coordination, etc.? Her learning assessment program results, if I get down to those. So it's going to show, hey, she likes food service. That's her goal, that's her objective. So how can I help her get here? Well, for sequencing, she didn't do so hot. So what courses can she take at the local high school, at the community college, at said university, certification program, et cetera, to be proficient in sequencing, to improve her sequencing? Well, she could take Mr. Johnson's 10th grade math class because he covers sequencing as part of the curriculum. So there is the justification for her going through that course. Right? So all of this data is automatic. And then we've tied them both into the state content standards as well as the Common Core content standards. It's basically a selection. So this is just Common Core, but we've correlated it. So that way, again, further justification and correlation to potential courses that are offered at the high school level, particularly at the high school level. And then again, any other day. So I think this report, again, although it's a fake user, this is a real report with like real data. Like we went through as a pretend student. And so all this data is real. I think it's a 30, I forget what it is, Taylor, 31 page report, something like that. And it's really powerful because the amount of work, or I shouldn't say work, but I should say time, the amount of time that it took a staff member or teacher or job coach or case manager or clinician to get this data was honestly near zero, because all it is assigning these tools and then the user is the one going through all this. So we're capturing that data and information. Okay. So enough from me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop. Well, I'm not going to stop sharing because I know Marianne has some slides here, but I'm going to introduce, let me get out of this. I'm going to introduce Marianne. Marianne Huband has worked with us for many years. She has a history as a vocational evaluator at a county school district. She's worked at VCU with individuals with more significant disabilities. She's worked in an Indian reservation in Arizona with individuals with and without disabilities as well. And now she's working at an organization as director of education for careers all the way through mental health and other things with individuals, I believe younger ages, and I'll let her kind of articulate a little bit more cleaner, but she's like 16 to 24-year-olds ish. But I'm going to just have her share her experiences. She's going to share what successes she has seen in using Conover with the participants of her programs that I just mentioned, as well as what she's seen with her users and the end result. And then we'll go merge into question and answer session. And so based off of what she says or anything that I've said, we can go ahead and answer your questions and then wrap this out at 2 p.m. Eastern for you all. So with that, Marianne, if you want to go ahead and take it.
Okay. Can you hear me all right?
Perfect.
Great. This is definitely an honor for me to be able to share something that I have believed in for many, many years. I met Art, I think, before you were even married, Art. I'm trying to remember exactly the date that we met. But
yeah. And before all my 5 kids. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, Art. I can't believe that. But anyhow, I just want to start out and tell you what kind of people Conover, what they are and what they mean to me. But I met a young lady at a conference, and it was at a DCDT conference here in Virginia. And it was almost we were almost getting ready to close the whole week. And I had come up to her table and I said, I'm really interested in all of this. And I guess I had a million questions and talking a little too much, as my friends will attest to. But I was just so interested. And she said, Mrs. Huban, I would love to talk with you about this. She said, I have another engagement next week, but the following week at 10 o'clock, I will call you. And I'm thinking, yeah, sure. You're going to be so busy. You won't even remember me at all. But to my surprise, a week later, I guess it was 2 weeks after that, at 10 o'clock, the call came in. And we went through everything Conover offered. And this was on the phone. We didn't have the shared slides in those days and all the cool things that Art's been doing. But she taught me back then that it's easier to work smarter, not harder. And that's what I believe that Conover can do for all of us, and me included right now in my new role. But my educational philosophy is very, very simple. I believe that all persons can learn, and I believe that they can work if they so desire. And all have the right to dream. And Conover has taught me that dreaming is great, but you have to dream with a plan. And that's where my new focus is. Yep, I want to teach you to dream. And if I could back up just a little bit with my experience on the reservation, I retired in 2013. I had worked for 40 some years with Chesterfield County Public Schools. I was one of those people that I loved my job. I stuck with it, but I always felt like something was missing. I was a vocational teacher. I worked with kids that had significant and moderate mental disabilities, and I realized that something wasn't just right. I wasn't getting all of them included. So when I met Conover, I was able to bring things into my classroom that a lot of my students hadn't ever really experienced, and we began to dream. So when I retired in 2013, I took all that knowledge out to Arizona. A friend of mine taught at VCU, that's Virginia Commonwealth University for you people in Arizona. We went to that Final Four one time. We were real excited about that. But anyhow, on the reservation, it was the hardest job I've ever loved. I met folks that had no dreams. They went home every day after school and ate, and in fact, couldn't even tell me places they would like to visit. And for an activity one day, I said, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be? And I had them draw pictures. And these were kids had learning disabilities, a lot of trauma in their lives, a lot of drugs in their household. There was a lot of physical and sexual abuse, and things that just really broke my heart. But I knew immediately why I was there, because I wanted to teach them to dream. So we started out, and these were the comments I got. I'd like to go to Walmart. And Walmart was about 5 miles off the reservation. There's a new pizza place in Chandler. Chandler was maybe 15, 20 minutes from where I was. Another one wanted to go to a water park that was in Phoenix. That was about 45 minutes away. But that was it. That was their dreams. Most of them said, I don't know. I don't care. And so I began showing them the world, and I brought Conover into our classroom, and I showed them all the jobs that they could do. 2 places that they worked on the reservation. One was at the hospital and one was at the jail. And they thought that was where it ended. And most of them only would go through the 8th grade. They dropped out of school and had no desire to go to high school. So with that being said, I taught them to dream. We brought out Conover, brought out the kits. I was able to purchase a lot of the kits at that time, and just very successfully was able to use the products to help these kids learn to dream. What data that I took many, many years ago as a vocational evaluator, it would take me hours or days to compile it all. I can do it now with the click of a button. And that was the selling point for me. That was the success for me. I also had lots more options for students, especially the kids on the reservation. I was able to do career planning. Hey guys, you need to finish high school. When you get finished with high school, you can go to a tech center. You can learn skills. what was really neat for me with Conover, I still had to write IEPs. So it was hard for me on the reservation to come up with the goals and the objectives that I needed. And with a click of a button, I was able to do that. Then those results were used to do a vocational assessment. And I kind of wanted just to show you, I don't know if you can see my picture. They always tell me you can't see it, but you get the idea. And what I did, I came up with a way, and I'd done this in Chesterfield too. We never really used it a lot, but I wanted a one-pager. We found that teachers didn't always read our vocational assessments, and I wanted a way for them to have everything at their fingertips. So I incorporated skills that students had, their aptitudes. I also wanted them to know what their strengths were. So I put that on my one pager. I put interest, their learning styles, and then any recommendations that I had. And this is what I'm hoping to incorporate in my new job as well. But what Conover has done now, they've stepped a little farther than when I used to use it, because I mainly used Mecca for my career. But now with all the new stuff they're doing, and these certifications are so really cool. I did use these at Virginia Commonwealth University with kids that were in the ACET college program. But Amtrak uses these certifications. I'll probably leave something out, Art, and you can correct me, but I understand Boeing does, and Caterpillar and Michelin. And so I was able to use these certifications to help students. I used a lot of the video modeling segments that you offer for kids that were downtown Richmond trying to learn to cross streets and to be safe, and how to order in a restaurant, and how to practice social distancing and social interaction. So that was another real success for me. I saw that. And then the results that I found with all these students that I had the pleasure of working with, that I was able to do a plan or a course of study for them. And that was crucial for me. I needed that. I needed them to know what the future could hold for them. And so my learners, if I had to come up with ways that they were successful, I would tell you that they discovered who they are. They discovered what they wanted to be. And I was able to help them learn some techniques. And with the help of my counterparts in Chesterfield, Stu and Ellen and Renee, that was a coordinator, a transition coordinator that helped us with all these different cool things that we got with Conover. We were able to teach kids to dream with a plan. And that became my motto. Yep, you can dream all you want, but guys, you got to have a plan. And you may need a plan A, a plan B, or a plan C. And I preached this from Arizona across the country, all the way back home to Virginia. And now in my new role as the Director of Education and Career Planning for a Peace of Mind Counseling Services, I'm able to go a little step farther, because with the pandemic, we've learned as educators, there's a lot more to the story, and it's that mental health piece. So we're going to be incorporating clinicians and therapists that are going to help our students, that will be able to come through our program. We were just awarded a grant that we will be able to put into place right away, and be able to help kids receive that academic counseling that they need, to supplement their wellness, and also to do all the outreach services they need to be successful in today's world. So that about sums it up for me, Art. It's a pleasure to be here, guys. And please know that I'm happy to give you my contact information, and will answer any questions. And I could sell Conover all day long. I believe in it. They've proven themselves. And from that very first young lady that said, I'll call you at 10 o'clock, that lady called me at 10 o'clock. And that's been many, many moons ago, but they still do what they say they're going to do. And I support them 100%. And as I said, I've taken it from Virginia to Arizona and now back again. So I'm proud to be a part of it. And I wish you all the very best. And just remember that kids matter. We all matter. We have to support each other and be there, and remember to listen to them. If you hear they're hungry, or if they need a place to live, that becomes our role too now, to help people realize that we're here to help. So thank you so much, and God bless you all. Thanks.
Yeah, Marianne, thank you. That's so awesome. I remember you even did one presentation with the touchstones. You remember the presentation you did with that?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's phenomenal. And you know, it's the whole goal of what we try to do is, like I said, make your job easier, because these are all things that people we work with have a passion for, you know, helping kids, helping individuals with disabilities, helping, you know, young folks figure out like, hey, what am I going to do? And provide that guidance, that necessary guidance that sometimes isn't always there in their supportive environments. So, you know, the more we hear from you all, so everyone, you know, Lakeisha, Shelly, I'm trying to look at everyone else, Vicky, Erica, everyone here, um, helps us, like motivates us in turn, right? Because we're not in the trenches, as I like to say. We're not the one day to day. So it's nice to hear those and connect with you all, and we mean that wholeheartedly. So yeah, thank you so much. And so I will with the last 9 minutes, I have slotted 9 minutes. I know Marianne can stay just a touch longer too, so if it goes over, absolutely. Otherwise, you know, we will end at 2 p.m. Eastern. But I'm going to go into Q&A, and I know Taylor gave me some that came through. Let's see. I know this is one question that came through. I know that this is for students to complete on their own. For those who can't, what is a good way we can get their accurate data? Good question. So it depends on the level in which you're, well, I guess the goal in which you're trying to accomplish, for example. So when you look at MECA, those learning assessment programs are assessments that are measuring what proficiency looks like within a given career area. So if a user can't do that career or can't, you know, successfully complete those learning assessment programs, one could argue that they can't do that job yet. So the goal is to look at that data and say, okay, you know, this is where you're weak, and that's okay, because we're all weak, right? We talk about it, we look at those results, and I can pull up that career portfolio again just so you guys can see it. Let me pull it up. And we look at that data, and then we can say, okay, how can I help you? How can I use this data now to say, let's set that goal for food service. Just bear with me. I'll pull it up. You know, let's set that goal for food service. And you didn't score so hot in sequencing and decimals. And so if you're the one to do it, I'm going to teach you decimals. Or if it's somebody else, you know, you talk to that teacher aide or that parent or that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and say, we need to teach Johnny this if his goal is to be in food service. So that's my response. Marianne, you can speak to that too, as far as like, for those who can't do this on their own, you know, what's a good way to get their data or accurate data if you've worked with individuals like that?
Yeah, sure. And we've had students that have been so excited about the kits and being able to be like everybody else in the room. And we do a lot of backward chaining. I don't, if they can't do something, then I'll offer assistance, and then we celebrate their successes. And then that is reported in our report. That, you know, with assistance, they were able to complete the work sample, or can be real specific as to what they could do and what I had to assist with. So that's how I've handled it in the past. The interest inventory, I've done it several ways. I've shown pictures. Do you like this one better or that one? And then I would score it on the actual interest inventory to get the results accurately.
Sure. So you're saying, like, you'd work with the student sitting by him or her, and then
yes,
you would enter. Sure, that makes sense. Sure.
Yes.
Yep. Cool. Another question is, let's see, can we display an interest assessment as an example? Yeah, I'll pull that up so I can share what that looks like. Reports. And then we'll go into MECA because that's where the interest indicator is. And then I'll pull up, I know some people have it and don't, so I always like to pull up the people that do, so it makes sense. Here's Maria. So this is what the interest indicator looks like. So this is like a finished, you know, Maria did this back in 2015 at 8:31 a.m. And so this is what, after she finishes that interest inventory, these are the results tied to those 16 career clusters. And then we're going to recommend career areas, based off of that interest indicator. And so this data is here, you know, forever. There's no limit on this. And you can either print it hard copy if you'd like, or you can download up here in the corner, download it as a PDF, because we know a lot of folks have electronic IEPs and electronic systems. And so, yeah, you can absolutely do that as well. So All right. Let's see another one. Do you recommend starting with MECA or functional skills system for transition planning, or both? Good question. The way we see it is it's kind of like a journey. And like I kind of mentioned with like ask it, explore it, that 4-step process. So we typically, and again, we know it's not a perfect world, but in a perfect world, we recommend starting as early as possible. And we start with MECA, start with their interests, because then even as an educator, you can start to see like, okay, he's interested in cars. When I'm teaching just general math and such, I'm going to be able to be like, hey, Johnny, he loves cars. Like anytime we can incorporate that or NASCAR or whatever into the conversation, that'll kind of spring up his attention. And so starting with MECA, starting with that journey of interests, exploratory type stuff, documentation of post-secondary goals, again, the data for like, oh, he took the interest test at age 14, and then moving through the program in personal responsibility. So you're talking about goal setting and self-advocacy, and then workplace readiness, because obviously as they're getting older, they're getting ready and closer to the workplace. So we're going to focus on workplace skills. And then last but not least, we have the functional skills. Should that be appropriate for those students if they need, life skills and independent living skills and such? That's kind of what I'm going to pull it up here. That's what we recommend lastly. And what's unique about functional skills is that, again, depending on the student's ability, you can start that early on. We kind of built this little image here of like steps. So even though functional skills is like the 8th step, again, you can integrate this 8th step throughout. So if it's a student with a little bit higher needs and you want to go ahead and target some hygiene or grooming or anything like that, you can start down in here, while you're doing simultaneously with MECA, because those skills are, the repetition is needed for an individual to gain and learn those skills. So it's a good question. Let's see. How long does data like career portfolio stay in Conover system? Great question. Forever, or until you tell us to delete it. Which has happened. If you want us to delete it, we will, right? Just send us a little thing and boom. But I had a conversation, again, I bring up last week at the conference. I talked to a woman and she's like, you know what? I love this because we have to keep data for 7 years upon completion for the students that we work with. And certain states like Michigan, for example, they have to provide services up through age 26. I don't think anyone said they're from Michigan today, but through 26. Which I know in a lot of states, it's 22, their 22nd birthday, then they age out, and then Voc Rehab or some sort of community-based organization could potentially partner and take over and so on and so forth, the services. But that data then can be captured and saved. So if Maria was a senior back in 2015, again, this data, these students we have in here are fake, but this data is real. And so we did this as Maria, like a fake student back in 2015, and here we are in 2022, and it's still here. So that data is there literally forever until you say otherwise. It's your data, so you can just say delete it all. We want it out of there. We no longer want to, use this, whatever, and it's gone. But as far as we're concerned with our system, there's no limit for the data. So, great question. Any other questions? I'm trying to see if I missed any, and I don't think so. Any other thoughts? Do you guys get learn takeaways from these webinars? And you can type in the chat if you want and make me feel good, or you can just keep it to yourself if it's not, But also, we do love feedback. So if you all are thinking of something, and Taylor is the one to do this. So if you all are thinking of something and say, hey, it would be great if you did this, or, we've done a lot of this professional development virtually over the last 2 years, with everything considered with COVID and whatnot. And so I'm bored of this thing, but I would love to see this. Share that with us. I mean, like Marianne said, one thing that we take to heart is we work with you all to make you and help you make you successful. So, we don't just try and work on an island and think we know best. We learn from you. So make sure to just share with us any resources, topics, things that would make your life easier. whether it's a product improvement, whether it's a process improvement, whether it's like this, webinar improvements. We want to make sure that we hear from you, the ones working in and out every day. So that's it, I believe, for questions. But if like I said, I'll stay on for another minute or so. I'll end the video portion, but I'll stay on the chat portion if you guys want to stick around. Otherwise, you can get on with your day, finish up the school year strong. For those of you in the education world, I think my kids are done on Friday this week here. So it's like, it's almost here. And lastly, and I know Marianne said this too, but thank you very much for your time and efforts in working with children, both with and without disabilities, because it's needed. And it's appreciated, so thank you guys so much. Like I said, I'll stick around. And Marianne, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
your time.
Thank you.
Efforts.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye now. See you guys.